Yo, what is up, guys? Gray here, and today we've got our PTL Division 3 power rankings for the post-draft. And I'm not alone. I am joined by Super Salamence 93, aka Brendan.
I'm dead.
He's
the draft
dead.
killed me.
It really did. It killed both of us.
I'm so ill because of that draft. But we're here. We're powering through. I'm drugged up to high hell, and we're gonna be talking like we've done our 16, and we've got some different opinions. We're not disagreeing with each other because again, it's opinion based. But we've basically come to the conclusion that the top 10 could be anywhere.
Yeah.
Down to personal opinion, the top 10 could be anywhere. The other 5 or 6, they're kind of all there. We've got a few that are in the same place, a few that are just back and forth, like for a little opinion, but they're relatively close. But our number ones are completely different.
Yeah, we have I think that is the biggest difference.
Our biggest difference
is both our number ones are the biggest.
Yeah.
But
So my number one for him is quite low down, and his number one for me is quite low down. But again, the opinions and where it all lies up, and we'll try to justify. We'll probably get halfway through this and then go, oh shit, actually maybe I should change that. But we're sticking to our guns. I'm sticking to mine. Screw it. Like I said, I'm relatively new to draft league format, so if I've missed a few things and maybe I've got a few things wrong, then fair enough. But just looking at the teams and what they've come, I'm quite happy with what I've got. So should we start with number 16?
We should start at number 16, and we've both got Destin Lucarios, coached by Raven. And this team, man, we were brutal in the draft.
Yeah,
this
I
team
felt
still
kind
makes
of bad,
no sense.
But no, like so many picks. I look at it and go, why Lickitung when he's got 7 budget left, and he chose Lickitung. Pukamuku he didn't need. Quillfish is questionable. Doug Trio's questionable. He went dual psychic straight off the bat, and then got 2 ground types, and then got another flying type, and then which was also Talonflame. He already had a fire and a flying, and then he picked up Talonflame, and it's like
it's just hard to look at this team and see what it's going to do in the season. Like, he has threats. He has major threats in Victini and Manaphy. Gothitelle and Doug Trio can be annoying. Mega Sableye can be really annoying. And I think Gligar is nice on this team as well. But then you just kind of look at it and you go, he has about 7 or 8 types in this team. He has virtually no type diversity. On top of that, he hasn't even picked Victini or Manaphy, arguably 2 of the best Z users in the game as his Z-Mons. He's gone with Doug Trio and Gardevoir. And
we agree with the Gardevoir.
Yeah.
Dog Trio just isn't a Z-move user though.
It can be decent, but at the same time, most of the time you're going to want to run it like Sash or
when
Bandit,
you've got Victini, when you've got Victini and Manaphy right there, Dog Trio makes no sense as a Z-move user.
For sure. As somebody who has used Z Victini religiously, basically every time I draft it, I make sure that it's my Z-Mon. It's one of the best in the game. Manaphy, again, there's no arguing that it's one of the best in the game. With Tail Glow, nothing really lives a Hydro Vortex from it at +3. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, but he has got some nice pieces. You can't say that it's necessarily a bad team. He is going to bring only 6 of those each week, and to be fair, looking at his team, you don't necessarily know which 6 he's going to bring, because he's got so many dual typings that you may be like, oh, he's going to bring a water type, but he might bring 1 of 3 water types. So I guess that's maybe something he has, but yeah, certainly I think we were pretty certain this was going to be bottom. And
yeah, it was just one of those weird. It's weird. It's going to be interesting to see how Raven uses it.
We have no idea how good Raven is. We haven't actually watched any of the battles, so we're not sure how good any of these coaches really are. But certainly looking for that team. I think he's almost given himself a handicap by having that team.
Anyway, he wants to make D3 as hard as possible, so it's a bit of a challenge.
I mean, if he wins it with that team, then you've got to be scared when he drafts a good team.
When he drafts a good team. Number 15.
Again, we're in agreement on this one. Hartford Colonizhill.
Hartford Colonizhill. There was just some questionable picks.
especially the order. I think the order is the main thing that kind of confuses
the order
us.
is just all over the place. Round 2 Mega Man Electric was a weird one. Round 4 Pelipper. Round 5 Comfey. Shiinotic is just not needed. And then 10, 11, 12 is solid picks in Cresselia, Michelle, and Blastoise.
Even Golbat, I say, is a solid pick. Looking at his team, that's not bad. I guess a dual typing with Pelipper, but at the same time, like, that's not the end of the world. You're kind of using Pelipper, I feel, more for Drizzle in this team.
Link with Ferrothorn does really well, but that's all it really does. Like I said in the draft, maybe linked with Mega Man Electric for those Thunders. The one thing for me is using Aegislash. It needs to be paired with things that can defend it. And
I mean, his ground type switchings are limited.
Yeah, it's not got much help in terms of defending itself.
It's one of those teams where it's got nice parts, like the Arcanine Ferrothorn core I really like, especially with Pelipper. Like, I have seen no issue in that. Flygon and Comfey as, like, I don't know, round 10, 11 picks, like late on in the draft. Again, they're fine picks, but it's just, you kind of look through his team and you don't see too much that really scares you. Like, if I was to go up against his team, Aegislash is obviously an issue, but then I would go, okay, well, Mega Man Atrix quick, but it's not doing that much damage. Ferrothorn and Arcanine can be bulky. Cresselia is going to be fat. It's going to be... I mean, Cresselia Ferrothorn is a nice core. I'll give him that much. But there's just things here that... It doesn't scare me. This team just... You look at it on paper and it's just not scary at all. And there's some drafts in this division that are just disgusting.
Yeah, compared to other drafts, it's just a bit too low down.
For sure. I don't think that it's one of those teams that if he's using it well, it could do well. Again, you're only bringing 6 each week, and he can bring... But I feel like it is a case of he has to bring the same kind of 6 each week. Shiinotic is doing nothing. Shiinotic will not turn up. Like, there's no reason to bring it over Ferrothorn or Comfey.
Yeah,
like, there genuinely isn't.
There's no need for it.
But moving on, I think it's the first one we have a disagreement on, and it's even then it's not that big of a disagreement. I have West Virginia Voltorb, and you have them in 12th.
Yes, I have them 12th. My 14th was the Toronto Articunos.
If we stick to West Virginia Voltorb, we just talk about each team, because otherwise it's going to get really confusing. We're going to be like all over the place. So,
okay, yeah.
Where have you got West Virginia Voltorb slightly higher than I do?
I to be fair, like, it was one of those things where I really like that Clef Chomp Mega Aggron core, along with Z movers. He's got 2 of the strongest Z move users in my opinion.
Mimikyu and Vikavolt are very good.
Mimikyu and Vikavolt are just very solid Z move users. That was the only reason for me it was a bit higher. It's still a low down on the thing, on the table. Rankings, that's the word I'm
looking for.
Simply because he's got the same 6 mons near enough every week, in my opinion. Like, if you've got Vikavolt and Zeraora, you don't really need Lantern. I mean, yes, you need that bulky water, which is good. But at that stage, with the 6 budget as well, he definitely could have got something in other than Lantern. I think we mentioned this last night. He could have got something like Slowking, considering he doesn't have that psychic typing.
Yeah, Slowking was perfect for this team.
Yeah, and like the Umbreon Pangoro pairing of Dual Dark. Obviously, they both do 2 different things, but I can see Umbreon coming most weeks just because he needs that bulk along with Mega Aggron and Clef. But then I don't know. I feel like it's Z move users help me bunk it up just a little bit.
Yeah, for me it was a case of
Clef can be damaging. Chomp can destroy teams. So can Mimikyu. So
I agree that his initial core, his Dragon Steel Fairy core, is arguably one of the better ones in the league. But then he just hasn't paired it up with anything. Like, Mimikyu is a very strong Z user. It does give him a second Fairy type, but like we said in the draft, it doesn't matter too much. Zeraora is fantastic. Round 5 pick as well is kind of crazy. But then it just drops off, and he has that 6 extra points. Like, I think that's the main thing that bugs me about his team. It's the kind of waste of points that he has. He has 2 dark types. He has 3 electric types. He has, like I said, 2 fairy types, and he still has 6 budget left. He had 1 space left on his team, and he still didn't pick anything up. It's not like he didn't have gaps on his team. He has virtually no hazard removal. Granted, he has 3 great stealth rockers, so that's not an issue, but he has no other hazards on his team, no spikes, no T-spikes. And I feel like he's just going to pay because everyone's going to bring rocks against him. And not to mention, he does kind of lack that out-and-out wall breaker if he doesn't bring Mimikyu. And Mimikyu needs that Swords Dance to be a wall breaker as well. So I think he's going to struggle to break through bulkier teams. And although he's got good Z users, I will agree with that. I think initially he did have Pangoro and Umbreon as his Z users. So his front office definitely advised him well on picking up Mimikyu as a Z user instead. Because I don't even think Z Umbreon can do anything.
No.
So, but moving on, my 13 was your 14. That was Toronto Articunos. This was a team that took over from somebody who drafted before, but did have as many changes as they wanted, and I feel like he probably didn't take advantage of that as well as he could have. His team's a little bit kind of lackluster.
Meh.
Yeah,
it is. It's just meh. The dual, like Mega Latios, we know can be devastating. A lot of Ninetales you bulky. We got the dual fairy, straight off the bat. Roserade, Sizzle, and Necrozma. Again, it's just one of those teams where you can see the same like 6 or at least 4 of the mons coming every week. I can see Vaporeon coming a few times, maybe Donphan to get rid of some teams with hazards. But I'll be surprised if he never doesn't bring Mega Latios and Alolan Ninetales.
One thing I see with this team is it doesn't have reliable bulk. Like, Togekiss, it can be bulky, but it's not reliably bulky. Roserade, again, it can be bulky, but it's not the best bulk. Vaporeon, I'd say, is the only thing really on his team that just stands out as being that all-round bulky mon that he can rely on. But, I mean, Alolan Ninetales is a nice pick. Alolan Ninetales with Mega Latios is really scary. Aurora Veil with Mega Latios, I can't think of much more terrifying combinations. But then the rest of the team is just kind of... I think, like we say, it's just lacking something. I don't know what it is, I can't put my finger on it. But it's just lacking something. There's a bunch of good mons. He spent a lot of points on, like, mid-tier mons. But that's just what they are, they're mid-tier.
But I say, it's really surprising to see a team where the budget was literally everything was above 30 or 12 points as lowest one before that War Raid. But it's so just lackluster.
Yeah.
And not got that oomph to it, and it's really strange to see because you've got some mons that are like probably below 10 that would have done better jobs on this team than, for example, Necrozma at 16 points. There could have been other strategies that he could have run that would have possibly saved him some points and got some a bit of versatile mons to him. But I don't know. It was a bit of just a team that I just look at and go, eh. It wouldn't scare me.
It's a team that has got some nice parts. Like we said, it's got like some very decent mons, but I don't know. It's just kind of average, I feel, and I think it's just a waste of, like, he's wasted points on things that surely look good, like they're higher points, but maybe it doesn't work as well for his team, and he could have picked up something for a smaller points budget and been able to pick something up later in the draft that was a little bit more helpful to his team. But moving on, I have the Nassau Nidokings at number 12. You have them at 13.
Yeah,
so this is like
relatively close.
The bottom 5 we had the same 5 teams, but just in different orders.
For this, it's a solid team. Just that weakness to hazards is just staring you right in the face.
For sure.
Unless you're going to bring Defog Lando T every week, like rocks against this team really hurt. Like Volcarona, we were saying during the draft, like the second he picked up Volcarona, we're like, right, he's really now got to look into getting some hazard removal, and it never happened. Persimmon is just a useless pick in my opinion because he picked up Chestnut. Omnistar's a weird one. I mean, it gives him hazards, but already having Suicune as your bulky water, I think he'd be better off trying to get... I don't know how early Fortress went, but maybe this would have worked a little bit better with his team instead of a few things. And
think
drafting
for
over
Chris
Alolan
Icon,
Mux as well is maybe that was a budgeting thing. I'm not sure, but
I don't see Drapion as over Alolan Muck as a bad thing. I think they'd fill different roles, and it's not a bad pick. It does actually give him some kind of hazard removal, I guess, because of Toxic Spikes. Obviously, that is something that really just ruins his team. If he doesn't bring Drapion and he doesn't bring Defog Lando T, then Rocks plus Spikes is just going to kill his team. Like, Porygon 2 is great, it's great bulk, but if it's poisoned, then it's certainly crippled and he can always knock it off. And just looking at his team, he, like you said, he really needed that hazard removal and he just didn't pick it up. Persimmon, Aurorus, Omastar, that looks like 17 points he could have used so much better. I think Golbat went later in the draft, and Golbat would have been great for his team as a low round defog user. He's got Lando T as a Zmon, that is a very strong Z user, but considering it's his only defogger, he's kind of just pigeonholed himself, and he's got to use it as a defogger if he wants to get rid of rocks that are going to kind of cripple his entire team. I feel like potentially on this team, Volcarona would have been a better Z user just because of that, and then he could have like partnered that with something a little bit higher than Drapion. Though Drapion is not a bad Z user in my opinion, but it's just he would have been so much higher. Like looking at those first 5 or 6 picks, he could have been in the top kind of 4 or 5 in our order. Like
those first 6 picks were just absolutely disgusting, and then like the final 5 were just like what?
Because even if he does bring those first 6, you got to be scared because that team is looking pretty deadly. But it's just the way he spent those last points could have been much better put to use. Like I think that once the trade's open, he's going to realise that he needs defogger desperately, and probably will pick up like 2 or 3 hazard removal. But I feel like he doesn't need to even touch those first 6 mons. Those first 6 are absolutely fine. But moving on, this is where things are wildly different.
Yeah.
So at 11, I have I think it's the Rado Luxios, and you do not have them at 11th.
No, I have them at number 1.
So how have we got such differing opinions on this team?
Again, I think this comes down to my lack of draft league knowledge. As we all know, I'm a very hyper offensive player, and I just loved the look of this team. It was really hard for me to pick a number 1 team, as I saw flaws in all of them. I don't know. Again, like I've talked to you about it and talking about it, maybe it's something that I would swap around a bit more after we had a little bit of a chat about it. But I'm sticking to my guns. I don't know. It's got so many threats in there. It does definitely lack the defensive side of it because you are relying on Milotic to take those hits. But then if you've got a chance to play on a hyper offensive, then this is definitely the team that's going to do it. I don't know. Darm is horrible. Nido's horrible. Milotic's disgusting. Latias is disgusting. Megawar is disgusting. Lycanroc, Swallow, Mismed, just everything on this team does absolute work. I like the diverse typings. But yeah, like I said, like eventually needs to bring webs as well because it does let it down a little bit with the speed. Like Swallow's quick, Lycanroc Day's quite quick. Scarf Darm is a thing. Garvantula is not too bad. I think it's like base
108. I think it is.
108, yeah. So it's 108. It's relatively good. But yeah, I think it was just my hyper offensive playing style that made me pick this team over the rest of them.
Yeah, I think like looking at this team, I just kind of like you went over. It does kind of need the webs. Like it's either if it doesn't bring webs, then he's got to bring like a Scarfer because it is lacking a bit of speed. Especially on like his main threats, because Swallow is great, it's very powerful, and Lycanroc Day can be very good itself as well. But other than that, I feel like it's just offense. Like if its offense fails, then it's got no backup plan. Milotic can be very bulky on both sides. Latias again can be very bulky, as can Serena, but it's just not enough bulk in my opinion. Not to mention his only real hazard removal being Serena and Latias. I think that's the only 2 that you're going to reliably use. His Zmons kind of leave a lot to be desired. Latias and Alone and Persian. Not giving Lycanroc Day that Z is a mistake in my opinion, because it is.
Yeah, no, that's one thing I agree with. It's like Lycanroc Day needs that Z move.
Absolutely.
It does so much damage.
But yeah, other than that, I think generally his team is very good. But the fact that there was so many teams that I feel do hyper offense better, in my opinion, they just are more well rounded, have better kind of synergy. That's the reason why I put Laredo Luxio so low. But to be honest, like they could be anywhere from like 11th to 1st. We were saying this. A lot of these teams are quite close. It was very difficult for us to put them in certain places. And I think that's why you're going to see like some major differences between where we've placed a couple of teams, because it's just come down to personal preference. But moving on.
Well, yeah, I got to like number 10 and was like, I have no clue now.
Yeah.
It's so difficult.
Number 10, we both agreed, is Carolina Taurus Hills, coached by, I believe it's Shadow Gallade, I want to
say. Yes.
This team is, I really like this team. It's got a really nice defensive core of Rotom Wash, Tangrowth, Sylveon. Some very solid parts on its offense with Weavile, Alolan Marowak, Latios, Mega Kangaskhan. His late picks maybe a little bit questionable. Lipard is kind of unnecessary. I think we both agree on that. Pachirisu obviously being a meme pick, we can't really fault him for that. And Chuckle is kind of just there. His hazard removal, I think, was one thing we kind of brushed upon. That Hitmonchan and Rotom Wash being his only real defoggers. Latios can run defog, but you kind of don't want to. And his team does suffer a little bit from hazards. But generally, I quite like this team. It's got some decent cores, some great synergy, and yeah, it's just it's a good mid-round
nice
team.
Mega. Z-move uses Latios, Hitmonchan. Possibly, I don't know how good Weavile is a Z-move user.
It's pretty solid.
Sylveon as well could be a possible one.
I feel like his Z users aren't bad. He's definitely, I think, used the best of what he's got. Maybe a Scavalier over Hitmonchan, but then Hitmonchan's not a bad Zmon to have at all.
No.
I think he was kind of lacking for a really good Z user outside of maybe Weavile and Latios, and he had to choose one of the two. I feel like Latios is probably the better of the two, in my opinion, so not bad pickups there. But I think we just put him kind of middle because it's one of those teams that's very solid, but there's a lot of drafts that were better.
Yeah, just edges in different aspects were just tiny bits better.
But there's definitely parts of this that, like, this team could finish near the top quite easily, depending on how he plays it. Next up, we got Toronto Swablu J for me. You had them in 11th, so it's not too much of a difference. But
no, I had them a little bit lower down.
The team of all of the hazard removal. This man has 2/3 of his team that can remove hazards.
That's the thing. We got hazard removal, and then we got but it seems like so much hazard removal. But there's so many teams, in my opinion, in this draft that they don't have hazards.
Yeah.
Or like for me, this team I put lower down because I don't know, the last few picks were just a bit.
I think it's the Cryogonal Claydol that really we weren't sure about.
That could have done. You've got another one which is 10. Ordinal, I guess, is a meme pick.
It can be decent. It's not a terrible meme pick. It's a viable one for sure.
Alolan is great. Fortress is amazing. Silvally and Uxie are very good. I think the other thing for me was the fairy you want linked with Megazard X. I think for me, I prefer a defensive fairy more than an offensive one. But that's just me nitpicking. Azumarill was absolutely solid, and I suppose it could be bulky if you run Sap Sipper possibly. But for me, like that early on, there was quite a few fairies that he could have grabbed that maybe would have fitted the team better with Lando Eye as well. And then maybe using those points to pick up a different bulky water. I don't know, like I said, it's just me nitpicking. I like with the fairies that you want for Megazard X and Lando, I would have preferred a bulky fairy, but Azumarill can do absolute work. So
For me, this team is really strong. The Dragon, Steel Fairy, and Grass, Water, Fire core being all kind of intertwined in one, with Zardex, Azumarill, Kartana. That's really nice, and it's a very threatening combination. However, they are all physical attackers. So if you have one physically bulky mon, then it may struggle to break that down. You have got Landorus Incarnate as like a backup for special attacking, and that's a hell of a backup to have. He's got some really nice parts. His defensive core is solid, but lacks reliable recovery. And other than that, you got Fortress, great hazard setter and hazard removal, but Cryogenal and Claydol, I feel like you probably could have just gone with a 11 mon team and picked up a 10-point mon instead of those two, because they don't really serve too much of a purpose on his team. And yeah, Rotom I really like. I like a lot of his pickups, but it's just going to be interesting to see whether they actually work together. And I feel like he's going to really struggle with having no reliable recovery, because Silverly is a fantastic mon, but it does get worn down pretty quickly. So yeah. And also, you just don't need that much hazard removal. Let somebody else have some. There's so many teams like we've gone through so far.
So many teams where we're like, oh, they got no hazard removal, and that because
like, I don't remember the last time I've seen 3 rapid spinners on one team. Like, he has so much hazard removal, he just doesn't need it all. Like, he maybe won't bring any hazards against it, because he does have Megazard X, and that's one of the main things you need to do is protect against hazards. But this is overkill, I think, in my opinion. So
yeah, just so much.
Moving on, we have another team that we are really split on. I have them in 8th, you have them in 2nd, and that is the Kaitaya Kurum. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I probably butchered that.
Yes.
But this team, it has a fantastic start to it. Like, it's a very well-rounded team, and for me, this was one I struggled to really place. It's got a great core of, regenerate score of Tornadus, Theory, and Slowbro. Mega Sizzle is one of the best, if not the best, defogger in the game, in my opinion. Then you got that Bulu Heatran core. Like, there's so much synergy in this team. Sligo 10% works really nicely because Thousand Arrows doesn't care about the grassy terrain. Jolteon's a fantastic fast electric, but I don't even know what it is about this team. I just looked at it and I was like, I don't feel like I can put it in like that top kind of 4 teams. I felt like it just had things, like there's teams that were just slightly better in my opinion. And
I generally just whole defensive, like say synergy of it all. Okay, there's a few mons in there. Slurpuff's a good late fairy to pick up. Scrafty and Muck, odd ones. The Mudsdale is solid. Jolteon's solid. Mega Sizzle is arguably one of the best megas. Zygarde 10% literally just endgame sweeps. Slowbro doesn't care sometimes just about the moves that you have. Heatran and Bulu paired together is fantastic. And Thunderous Spherum, again, another regenerator mon that can hit really hard as well. Z-move users as well as Tornadus and Zygarde. That's some powerful Z-move users as well.
Absolutely, I didn't take that into account. Like, this team should be higher, I think, on my rankings, but I'm sticking to where I put them. I've put them at 8th for now. Yeah, I think the main reason I kind of had them that low is because it is weak to hazards. If it's a case of he almost has to bring Defog or Mega Sizzle. Like, Tornadus Tyrion is a fantastic defogger, but you've only got those 2. And granted, there could be much worse defoggers. I feel like this team is lacking something. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, and it's just, it may be a strong special attacker. I think looking at it, it has Tornadus, it has Heatran. I don't even know. Like, I'm trying to realise why I put it that low. He's got great typings. Like, he hasn't really doubled up on any typings outside of maybe Slurpuff, but again, that doesn't really matter because Tapu Bulu, you kind of forget it's even a fairy type because it doesn't have that fairy type stab outside of Dazzling Gleam. So, and it does completely different roles.
It's not used as a fairy.
No, but yeah, Kaitaya Kurum definitely could be higher up on this list. But man, it was so close between these like next 4 teams. They were all interchangeable for me. Like,
yeah,
they were all just so close. And next up at 7, we've got Purdue Mold Breakers. Both of us had in 7th.
Yeah,
this team is really nice. I do like a lot of the parts of this team?
It was looking really, really, really gross. Kieran Black. I think for me it was a little bit lack of speed, and I think it was the lack of speed and the Mega Pidgeot I haven't really seen do all too much. But seeing like Kieran Black and Stack Attacker as Z move users, I'd like to see what Stack Attacker can do as a Z move user. Kieran Black as a Z move user is disgusting. Linked with Finny as well, it's solid. Reuniclus is disgusting. Krook is one of the best scarfers or endgame sweepers in the game. Hitmontop was probably arguably the one pick on his team that was a bit...
I mean, that's just because I don't like Hitmontop. I would have rather had Hitmonchan at that point. But, I mean, in terms of hazard removal, he's got Hitmontop, he's got Feeny. Like, I guess Mega Pidgeot. Like, he is lacking a little bit on the hazard removal. But then again, he has got Tapu Fini, and Tapu Fini, again, is arguably the best defogger in the game. You got a solid rapid spinner in Hitmontop that I believe does get Foresight, so it can still hit ghost types. So it's not necessarily a bad pick. Stack Attacker, I'm definitely excited to see what that can do. Trick Room could be just devastating. He's just
I mean, with the lack of speed, obviously comes the Stack Attacker Trick Room being a possibility. So
yeah, and I mean something like that into Reuniclus as well. Like Reuniclus is a great Trick Room user. Tapu Fini could work in Trick Room. It's one of those teams where he's got speed as well, because Mega Pidgeot is fast, Raiku's quick. Obviously Crook with a Scarf is devastating. So he's definitely got good pieces, and I feel like we've both put this team quite high because it's just got a really nice core, and I think it's going to be difficult for teams to prep for. But moving on, at number 6, I have the Groningen Gallades. Again, I probably butchered that pronunciation. You got them down in 8th, so there's not too much of a difference there.
Again, it's that part where like all of them could just go back and forth.
Absolutely.
For me, it was they were just all round solid. I think looking at the team, mid-table was perfect for them. I suppose for me it was just that little lack of offense. I mean, don't get me wrong, Mega Lop can be absolutely devastating. Thundy Eye, Gudra, and Chandler. You're looking at physical attacking power. You've got Mega Lop. That's pretty much it. And that's why they were quite mid for me. Stellar Stealer makes a team. Most championship teams have Stellar Stealer in them.
Yeah, and that's kind of crazy how many times.
That's because it's absolutely broken. It's absolutely disgusting. Subseed, Stellar Stealer, Autotomize, Heavy Slam, Air Slash. It just doesn't care about your attacks either. With Beast Boost, it's just disgusting. Link with Florges, Celebi, and Swampert as well for that nice defensive core. And with Regirock as well. It's gonna take some good prep to take down this team, to be honest.
I think that's the main thing that I put them up for, is because their team it's so hard for somebody to prep for this team. Sure, Mega Lopunny is going to do one thing, Florges is going to do one thing. For the most part, Swampert is going to do one thing, but looking at the rest of his team, like, there's very few things that you can go, okay, well, that's definitely going to be this set. Thundurus can be physical or special. It can run Defog, it can get T-Wave as well to stop your sweeps. Gudra is like... Gudra is such a good pick, and part of that was Florges and Celesteela. That's one of the best kind of... I would say budget, because of Florges and Gudra, but obviously Celesteela isn't. Like, that's such a strong Dragon Steel Fairy Core. And I don't feel like there's no parts of this team that's necessarily wasted points. Like Zorok is a great 11 point pick, because that can be used for his team, especially. It can be used so effectively. Charge Bug being that meme pick, it's not really there. Like, I don't see him bringing it any weeks, but
no. Like
Celesteela, Mega Lopunny, Thundurus Incarnate is such a disgusting core. Like, I wouldn't want to go up against that, because there is very few things that can actually deal with all three of those. But I think, again, at number 5, we have the exact same team. We have Chernobyl Dragouges, and this is a team that, when we were looking at it for the draft, we were like, this is such a disgusting team. Like, there's so much bulk on this team.
Yeah, it's bulk. The reason it's not higher and in top 3 for me was the little lack of special offense. Because it's really all it is Coco. You can run special Nape and Rabombi, and that's pretty much it. Like I was like, maybe there's a possible different Mega that you could have picked up for some special offense. But Mega Aerodactyl is also a very solid pick. It's just solid all round. It's just there's just a few little nitpicky reasons of why it's just a little bit lower. The lack of removal is there again. Once again, a lot of teams lacking in hazard removal. Because what you don't run defog on Mega Aerodactyl, don't.
You don't really want to run it on Coco either. I think Rabombi gets defog, but again, you don't run it on that. So he's got a very good defensive core that could quite easily be broken down by hazards. But at the same time, like, once you've broken through that core, you still got to deal with just some crazy offense, like Tapu Koko, Infinite, Mega Aerodactyl. That's just terrifying. You don't really want to, like, there's very few things I want to switch into all 3 of those. Now you got Rabombi as a great setup sweeper, great sticky web user as well. Sneasel, Drodigun, great low tier picks, like great budget picks. Certainly feel like he maybe could have used his points slightly better to pick himself up a better defogger or rapid spinner. But I still feel like this team is just going to do so much, even without that removal.
Yeah.
Again, like these last 4 teams that we've gone through could quite easily be in any order.
Any order.
I feel like
it's just back and forth.
For me, at least, these top 4 were just that slightly bit better than the rest of the teams. And at 4th, I have got the LA Lucarios. And when we were doing the draft stream, we were kind of looking at this team and like, this team is disgusting. Like I think we were fairly certain that this was going to be top of our power rankings when we were doing the draft stream, but
yeah,
when we sat down and looked at it, we're like, yeah, it's missing some parts. It's definitely lacking a really good defogger. He's got Excadrill for rapid spin, but then there is just like no defog basically on this team, and at the same time, it's just gross. That offense is disgusting.
Yeah, I've got these at number 3. That Lele, Tyranitar, Excadrill core straight away, along with Gyarados as well. Megazam, it's hitting so goddamn hard. It was just, again, nitpicky stuff that you need that bit of removal. Like, yeah, Excadrill is arguably one of the best spinners, but then do you want to bring spin on Excadrill each week, or do you want to have a SD
Life Orb
late game sweeper? Like if you bring Sword Stance, like, yeah, okay, you can have rapid spin on there. Then what, you can have Earthquake. Like, you want that if it's gonna be a late game sweeper, you want that versatile in moves to be able to hit everything in that team. Unless Earthquake and Ironhead does the job, obviously. But yeah, it's a difficult one to look at.
But I mean, there's so many parts of this team that are just really nice. He does have 3 flying types, which was interesting.
Yeah, we noticed that as well.
We're saying he has no real good defogger, but that's because all of his flying types either don't get defog or they're just not the best defoggers you could really want. I feel like something like Mandibuzz may have been really good for him. Apparently he got Tyranitar, but still, like, Mandibuzz is just completely different to Tyranitar in so many ways.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily have that much of a fairy weakness as well, so it wouldn't be too much of an issue. But I mean, you look at this team and you just go, he's got 2 really good, like, synergy offensive cores with Tapu Lele, Megazam, and of course that Sandcore of Tyranitar, Excadrill. And you still got, like, his Z users are Excadrill and Gyarados. Like, that's such a good, like, 2 really, really viable Z users. Gyarados is arguably one of the best Z users in the game, at least in league format. Shaman as well. We haven't spoken about Shaman. Shaman is fantastic in all different roles. Yeah. Garboda is a great 7-point pickup for Toxic Spikes and Spikes. Gives him a fairy resist as well. Piloswine is another great 7-point pickup. So there's so many parts of this team. Even Gerda at 3 points was, like we said, probably the best 3-point mon available. So he may be lacking on a better fighting type. Like, if he managed to get Conkeldurr, this team would have just been unbelievable, I think. Yeah. But at the same time, you kind of had to look at it and go, I don't have the points, because he spent so many points early on. But yeah, LA Lucario this is a team that could just win the league. If Lele turns out to be broken like we think it's going to be, then for sure I can't see anyone stopping this team. Moving on, we have New Jersey Dooms, and you have them in 4th. So we've kind of swapped these two around.
Just swap these two around.
Again, these two teams I think are kind of interchangeable, but I just really like this team. It's
beautiful.
It's so well balanced, in my opinion.
It is. It's probably the most balanced team in the draft, in my opinion.
I think my number 1 is definitely the most balanced. That's why I've got my number 1.
Three Waters? You sure?
But no, this team, I mean, you look at it and there's so many things in this team that you really have to prep for, and it's such a struggle to prep for. I mean, you got that offense of Scolipede, Snorlax, Mamoswine on the physical side, and then Megalatias, Keldeo, Zapdos on the special side. There's just so hard to prep for, and then they can be bulky as well. You can have Megalatias be defensive, Snorlax can be defensive. You've got Wigglytuff that can be defensive. Zapdos is one of the best defensive mons in the game. One of the best defoggers again. Megalatias is a great defogger as well. There's just so much on this team. He's got priority defog of Whimsicott. There's nothing.
Metagross just destroys things. Incineroar used well can really cripple teams with Intimidate. And its vast move pile gets access to U-Turn, Leech Life, Outrage, Iron Head, Thunder Punch, obviously Darkest Lariat. Z move users as Scolipede and Keldeo as well. Scolipede is absolutely terrifying.
I think Keldeo is terrifying as well.
They're both horribly disgusting.
And the only thing I'm looking at and seeing a potential issue is with Stealth Rocks, because Wigglytuff, Mamoswine, and Metagross are his 3 rockers, and that does mean you had to either give up on coverage on Metagross or another offensive move on Mamoswine. But I feel like that's just not an issue on his team. He has Toxic Spikes and Spikes on Scolipede. It can be a great lead on his team, as well as speed passing into pretty much anyone on his team. Speed passing to Mamoswine, that's terrifying.
Speed passing to Metagross with a weakness policy in a game.
Yeah, there's so many parts of this team that can just beat your team. I would not like to go up against this in D1.
No.
It's just a terrifying team, and for me, the 2 teams above it were not that far above it at all. But yeah, I mean, it's a strong team. And next, I got Main Absols, who I feel just got that slight edge over it, mainly because of its bulk.
Its bulk is absolutely disgusting. That core of Jirachi, Gliscor, Toxapex, Serp, Chansey.
I mean, Mega Altaria as well.
Mega Altaria as well, Cotton Guard. That can be gross, but then you look at its hitters back. Again, Jirachi can hit hard. Serp can clear up teams. Mega Altaria can clear up teams. Buzzwole clears up teams. Hydreigon easily does that. Again, it was also interchangeable. I put them down at 6. I think for me it was the Moltres pick and the Togedemaru, where with those 13 points really could have probably just grabbed something else that would have just made this team number 1 for me.
For sure. I mean, if you look at this team, imagine this team with Blacephalon. If you had Blacephalon instead of Moltres, and then you'd have probably no picks left after that, but still it would have been a gross team. I still think it is. Moltres is not a bad pick at all.
No.
Togedemaru can do something, but I think with 7 points you probably could have got something better than Togedemaru Diglett. But that's probably my only real issue with this team.
Pick.
There's great defoggers, great rockers, Toxic Spikes on Toxapex. Buzzwole is so bulky. I don't think anyone expects it to be as bulky as it is, and it just hits back so hard. Hydreigon is one of the best choice scarfers in the game. Jirachi again, one of the best choice scarfers. Superior can be an issue for any team. Even if you've got Resist, it can be an issue. Toxapex, Chansey, Mega Altaria, Gliscor. That's just the most disgusting defensive core. There is no 2 moves really that can just tear through that core. Because you've got an Ice type for Gliscor, okay, Toxapex comes in. You got a fighting type move for Chansey. Again, Toxapex, Gliscor come in. Like, it's just such a difficult team to break down, and if you do eventually break it down, you've got to deal with all those offensive threats as well. So, yeah, for me,
all round this team is just disgustingly solid.
It doesn't surprise me necessarily, like, that our higher picks are closer as the first picks in the draft, effectively, apart from Vixen, who was down in 15th. Like, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th have all been in like our top 6, basically.
Yeah.
But my number 1, and down in number 8 for you, like we said, the number 1s for each other were wildly
number 9
different.
for me.
Is it number 9? I thought it was number 8. Oh, it's number 9.
No, number 9.
Dallas Mudsdales. And I guess I must have an affinity with this team because it's quite similar to my NSTL team. But this team for me is just, I just love this team so much. It's so good.
It's a solid, and again, it's going back to that where that literally from probably number 10 or 9 to 1 could have just gone absolutely anywhere. It was just on personal preference. Me having 3 water types was unnecessary. I know they all do different things. Seismitoad looking is it just as a type solid, and Polion. They're all the 3 water types that he does have are arguably 3 of the best in draft league format though. So that does make up for it. Mew can do anything. Terrakion is one of the best wall breakers in the game. Rotom Yeet just yeets all over the place. Dhelmise is underrated as shit. Haxorus is scary as hell. Aromatisse is a very good budget fairy. Tornadus Incarnate can do great things, and Giraffe as a meme pick is just funny because it's Giraffe.
I agree with you. The 3 water types are unnecessary, and when I was looking through his team, I was like, if he had dropped Girafarig, I think he had to drop Girafarig to get it. If he had picked up Hippowdon instead of Seismitoad, I think this team is easily number 1 at that point. Because
I think for me, if he would have picked up Hippowdon over Seismitoad, this thing definitely would have been top.
Like, looking at his team, he has no gaps, if you ask me. Like, he's got defoggers, he's got hazard setters. Obviously, you got the spikes and toxic spikes on Greninja. I don't think he has Sticky Web, but it doesn't matter too much. He has great Scarf options, he has great setup options, Mew is just Mew. Mew can do whatever you want.
Mew does everything. Yeah.
So, I just look at his team, and all of his cores are really nice as well. Like, he has that Rotom Heat Dhelmise, which can be offensive and work with Greninja, it can be defensive and work with Empoleon or Seismitoad. Tornadus is a great pick at round 10. There's so many good things on this team. Aromatisse is arguably the best budget fairy type. So, yeah, I see no issues with this team at all. Like, it's so well balanced in my opinion. And, yeah, because of that, I feel like it is the best team in D1. I feel like it's because I play a balanced playstyle. D3, yeah. Yeah, it's better than all the D1 teams as well. We're just going to call it the best team in the league. No, but, yeah, for me, I play a balanced playstyle, so for me, this team really, it's probably what I would have wanted from my NSTL team. He doesn't draft a Mega though, that's somewhat surprising. I've just noticed he doesn't have a Mega on his team, but he doesn't need it. I don't think this team needs it at all.
I mean, I know he's already got Greninja, but Z T-Tar would have been, Mega T-Tar would have been an interesting one.
Sure. I feel like he could have even picked up Mega Garchomp. I think that was only like 13 points.
Yeah.
And it says Seismitoad, so there was quite a few options he could have picked up. That's, I think, the only issue I have with this team is that Seismitoad. But at the same time, Seismitoad can be used very differently to the other 2 water types he's got, so it doesn't bother me as much as some of the other dual typings people have got. But anyway, that's our rankings. That wildly different for week 0, I guess we could call this. I feel like we're not going to really know anything until like 6 or 7 weeks into the season, like how good people are and who is at the top. It's going to take us a while really to. Yeah. But I'm certainly excited to see a lot of these teams in actions. There's a lot of mons that I want to see used well. And yeah, I feel like this season in D3 is going to be really interesting.
It's gonna be fun to look forward to watching some of these play styles, some of these teams and how they're used, and some of all the battles have already started, and we've able to have a quick glimpse at a few of them, and Some interesting results. I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, but some interesting results coming out of week 1.
There's certainly some teams that in practice look a lot scarier than we were expecting.
Yes.
I think that's a given. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up here. If you guys did enjoy, then make sure to check out both Brandon and I's channels. Shameless plug. And
Not that you upload, but sure.
Hey, I upload now. I've uploaded consistently for like 3 weeks. But yeah, make sure to drop a subscription on the PTL channel. Go and follow us on Twitter and join a Discord. I believe that is linked on the Twitter somewhere. If I remember, I'll put it in the description below as well. But again, I don't upload that frequently, so I tend to forget things like that. But we'll be back with our week 1 rankings. I don't even know what day this is going up at this current point. So whenever Shade decides to put this up, he is in charge of the channel. So we will see you on the same day each week, I'm sure.
Yes.
Any parting words, Brandon?
No.
No?
Look forward to me not having a single clue of what I'm talking about.
You're here for the enthusiasm.
I'm here for the enthusiasm.
You're the charisma of the two.
I'm a bit lack of enthusiasm considering I'm quite ill. So expect that to pick up a little bit as the season goes on.
Not to mention we were draft streaming for 4 hours last night.
So
both of us are still kind of recovering from that. So yeah, anyway, we'll see you guys in the next video. And yeah, have a great day. Peace.
Peace out.